Welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast that has the science and the screaming to unequivocally figure out what the best movie is of any given year. This year is 2006, so do thing one and then do a second thing, because I forgot to do it way earlier in the season than I normally do. Before I introduce this week's panelists, know this, that this show is also a game in which points are awarded for well-made arguments, cogent thoughts about the film. Just say a thought that makes sense, and you could get a point. Jokes and anything else I feel like awarding. The winner will be my best friend for a week and have gloating rights. And let me introduce my best friend of this last week and let him tell you how that's been. Ryan?
How has my week been?
Yeah, as my best friend.
I mean, I have loved it. I brought you the muffins, of course. There was no poison in them, so that was great. Way more hand-holding this week than in our typical weeks. And you got those swampy hands, but it's fine because we're best friends and we love each other.
It's been very humid, which makes me nervous. How dogs react to thunderstorms, I react to general humidity. So thank you for holding my hand through that.
And if you thought that holding hands with someone with extremely webbed fingers was weird, you're wrong. That's great.
It's great. It's better for swimming, my dear. Greg, how would you feel about holding hand with these webbed fingers?
Yeah, honestly, between how webbed they are and how wet they are, it's like hanging out with a creature from the Blue Lagoon. Just getting to hold hands with my bestie. Well, I assume. I mean, I'm gonna listeners. I'm gonna be honest. I'm on a little bit of a losing streak, but tonight, Mike, I turn that around. I'm going to. I'm gonna get second place or nothing. I don't
want to shake Greg's confidence right up front, but is the creature from the Blue Lagoon Brooke Shields?
Yes, that's what I assumed, and she famously has webbed fingers. I thought that's what he was talking about.
There's some lagoon that has a creature.
Look, I need to register all lagoons and who may or may not live in them? I don't think so.
So I don't know a lot about movies, and I can't really talk about them. I don't see how that's going to keep me from performing well on a movie podcast.
It's not that kind of show.
But seriously, honestly, what lagoon is that creature from?
Oh, that lagoon? Black.
Black Lagoon. Okay, that is a lot more ominous than a Blue Lagoon where there's just two naked kids running around.
That's ominous. I would way more run towards a lizard man than... If there's naked kids, I'm hightailing. I'm not...
Can't be part of the story. Can't be part of the story. I gotta get out of here.
Our third panelist for evening can be part of the story. This one, not the one we were just talking about. That's up to him and his god. Friend of the show, returning champion, I assume, Keith Phipps.
Did I win? I can't remember. Did I win something last time?
Yes.
Oh,
you are 2-0.
Oh, that was great.
Oh,
yeah, I loved
it. Keith, do you remember what movies you did in the past?
No.
Yeah, hey man, neither me. I don't either. So I was just curious.
There is one cardinal rule.
Podcast, so we do a podcast with some former coworkers and I called Next Picture Show, where we do a movie. It's a movie of the week where we do a classic film. We talk about a classic film inspired by a new release, and we're doing Disclosure Day next, and one of my co-hosts and I keep suggesting Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which would be a perfect pairing for it if we hadn't already done it. And we're driving one of our other co-hosts crazy because we can never remember what we've done on our own show. So,
as a dedicated listener to the show, one of my favorite parts of the entire run is one of the co-hosts, Genevieve Koski, will do like trivia about what they've done in the past, and the other three panelists are like, no way, that never happened.
Genevieve is also the youngest member of this podcast, too, so we are all olds with failing memories, so it works out that way.
And I think podcasts should be like sand. Don't grasp it too firmly, or else it disappears completely. Just kind of have a loose connection that we know it's there. Today, we are talking about 2006's The Puffy Chair. Keith, overall, your general vibes, your general experience with Puffy Chair this week.
I mean, I liked it. I'm looking forward to talking about it. It's certainly not a film that gets talked about that much, but it feels like it's part of an important current of indie filmmaking from its era. And certainly the people involved in making it are very much still around and working and doing interesting projects.
They are very much still around.
It's funny with Keith's track record on the show, because I'll tell you guys what happened. With watching the scope go down from Once Upon a Time in America to then Run Lola Run and the Puffy Chair, like the fourth time he's on, it's going to be the shortest low budgetest film in history.
It's going to be somebody's home movie on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Basically. Yes.
Just a
One guy
Vine.
getting kicked in the nards, and that's it.
But that's going to be our first 3-hour show. Ryan, Puffy Chair.
Yes. Yeah, this was my first time, and I don't have a ton of Mumblecore experience. I remember when it came out, and I don't even think it felt far away to me then. I think I was sort of still in my, Hollywood only, or maybe dabbling in the classics. But then this sort of snuck up the whole movement, if we're allowed to call it that. I know the filmmakers don't like it being called that, but snuck up on me, and I felt like by the time I went to go to it, it had been established for too long. Also, I don't like when any sort of trend sneaks up on me. Like, I have to be there at the beginning or I'm angry about it. But I have seen their bigger budget ones later. So going back to at least the original Duplass, if not the original Mumblecore, I know it had been around for a couple more years. It was awesome. And I thought it lived up to everything I wanted it to be without, and I was a little bit worried about this, seeming like it was Xerox from like the Sundance playbook.
Right.
Sometimes as time goes by, these movies get copied so much that they have this like corniness to them, even though they were original. And once you get into the flow of this movie, I thought it really worked.
I think we didn't know this, but we can only do one of those a season, and that Sundance carbon copied, so it's super cheesy. That's later this season. I won't reveal who it is, but there is a bus. Greg, how puffy that chair, though?
Well, it depends what part of the movie we're talking about, Mike, because hopefully we'll get into the chair. But man, it's different levels of puffiness at different times. This is one of those where I had never even heard of it. Like as I was trying to track it down, I was like, I don't know anything about this at all. And I think that it totally accomplishes what it means to. You want to talk about a movie that does I think a tremendous amount of showing and not telling. You really get to experience what these characters are going through with each other, and I think that you really kind of feel the scope of all their relationships, and you feel what is up with them / wrong with them. And I found it very interesting, and I, like Keith, I'm just excited to get a chance to talk about it and really get into it. I would say I come into it with the least strong opinions I've had about any of the movies that we've watched so far on this season, except to say that I really did enjoy it, but I'm not fervent in my enjoying it. And I feel like I kind of came into the last couple of shows having something I didn't like about the movie, and instead this time I'm just excited to get into it, and I really enjoyed my time with it, but I don't have a super strong feeling one way or the other, to be honest.
Possibly surprising no one, I was super into Mumblecore, because if there was a cult thing that makes you a douche, I had that phase. I think last week I said Jeff Who Lives at Home was my first Duplass. That's not true, because watching this I had memories of a theater of this and of Baghead.
Wow.
Which is the Duplass's horror comedy with Greta Gerwig. And I did not know, I'm not a Mumblecore completionist, but I think I am way more of a Duplass completionist than I even realized. But I remember laughing a lot, and that didn't, I've been up and down with the movie this week, because I was like, that movie was funny, right? And then I watched it, I was like, nah. But when I got over my expectation versus what just the movie is, I've grown warmer towards it the more I think about it, because it is just a movie about just man, I don't like that mid-20s now feels young. There's just these young idiots trying to figure out what life is over the span of a couple of days.
There's a part where Emily goes, I'm 26, and I seriously turned to dust and blew away. For someone to be like, I'm so far into my life, 26, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Well, it's interesting, Mike, our season so far has sort of set us up perfectly, because this is number 4, Tristram Shandy, Slither, Brick, and now Puffy Chair, where I would say 4 funny movies that aren't classic setup and punchline movies, but more they're doing it. There's something about that they're doing it that is funnier than classic Seth Rogen, line-oramas.
There's a charm, a general overall charm to the films. Then So you know what? We're dangerously getting into stuff that I say in my intro paragraph. So let's take a break and then hear me read. Like grunge killed hair metal, Mumblecore knocked the Apatow of power off of its pedestal. Wait, that's not quite right because Apatow influence actually kept going. So I guess Apatow, the school of comedy, was grunge, killing the broader, more like slapsticky, like Farrelly Brothers and Austin Powers kind of comedy. And Mumblecore is like ska, the thing everybody thought was going to have a moment, but it like didn't really last. Except ska is like peppy and enthusiastic, and Mumblecore isn't that. So we're going to figure this out. Mumblecore is like 90s emo with a really dedicated, really small fan base when it came out. And the songs were lo-fi and raw, and the fans will tell you it was so much better than everything that came after it, while arguing what really counts as the genre. We're going to scratch this whole metaphor. But if you think that leaving a mistake in or a false start is awkward, that's Mumblecore, baby. The comedy subgenre that asks, why does comedy have to be so dang funny all the time? In the early 2000s, there was an uprising of young directors making low-budget, shaggy, semi-improvised relationship-focused dramedies like Andrew Bujalski's Funny Haha, Joel Schwanberg's Kissing on the Mouth, and The Duplessis' The Reason for the Season, The Puffy Chair. Like any good cult genre, the creatives involved often decry the label. So The Puffy Chair follows Mark Duplass's Josh as he goes to buy a recliner like his dad used to have for his dad's birthday. Because it's a road trip movie, things have to go awry. And Josh's smooth trip is ruined by two tag-alongs. His girlfriend Emily, played by Mark's IRL now wife, Katie Aselton, and wayward brother Rhett, played by Rhett, who demand to go on this trip and then are buttholes the whole time about it. There are hotel issues. The chair ends up not living up to the eBay pics. There's an impromptu marriage and the disillusion of Josh and Emily's relationship. The laughs abound. Taste buds, let's talk about these relationships. We're going to start with Josh and Emily. What do they get out of being with each other? And it does end by the end. So what do we think they were getting out of being with each other? They seem to want different things and can't state what they actually want out of life or out of each other. It'd be easy to say Josh is a rage-filled loser and Emily's the grounded, mature one. Did it feel that way in 06? And is there more nuance than that, Greg?
I think that the nature of their relationship is one of a near miss. I think that it's almost better to be in a relationship that is an absolute dud and absolute disaster. I think the hardest, or, ideally to be in a relationship where you are hopelessly in love with one another.
Let's bring on the duds.
But what we have here is a relationship that, at least at some point, I think, seemed to have promise and seemed to be going somewhere. These are two people that do say they love each other. But part of what I think is so effective about this movie is within the first scene, the viewer is like, oh, you guys, you're not supposed to, like, he calls her dude and man. They do this voice that made me want to claw my ears out. He takes, it's obviously like an important dinner for them, and he takes a cell phone call right in the middle of it, and she's like, no, please don't do that. So I think what we see is not what they were getting out of the relationship, but we see sort of like the terrible remainder of the relationship, which is clearly on some level both of them are like, this isn't really going to work. I think they both know that, and they are terrified of saying that to each other, terrified of realizing that, terrified of actually communicating with one another. And so we get to see them do all this painful looking away from what the audience is able to stare directly at, which is these two people don't belong together. They almost
do we get
but
a
not
nice
really.
moment?
Not that she doesn't
one that
force.
is like classically like when they first got started, when they were in their honeymoon phase. I don't know if we get a moment that resembles any of their best times. It's like, do you remember our best times? Is like the best we get.
But these as minutes in the hotel room when they have it to themselves, right? And that's kind of it. It's like our window into this relationship as it's working. Like for me, my experience watching this film is, the schmoopsy voices, as you said, made me want to claw my eyes out. And then, if this is a film about two people who end up getting together, staying together, I don't see how it's going to work for me. And I think it kind of teases you the whole way that maybe they will, and maybe this relationship will work out. And I think the cut to black after the breakup. I think it kind of really is like it's the only way this film could end, and I think it does, but it's not necessarily one you see coming from the beginning. So I like that about it.
I can't believe that, having watched everything about this movie, and how it is going against anything that like a Hollywood rom-com would give you, that I was surprised by the ending, that it would do that. And I think there's a couple things going on. One, they have that conversation with, what's Josh's name?
Josh.
Oh, it is Josh. Josh and his dad, right? And that's sort of a classic scene of like, this is when you're going to buckle down. This is when you're going to, admit defeat and marry her or whatever, however Josh would want to put it. So that sort of leads you to it. But two, like, I didn't see either one of them arcing to the emotion, like the emotional maturity to know that it's over until Emily finally did. And then I was like, yes, she's right. She's always been right. Thank you for like finally stepping up and doing this.
Even in the last 3 seconds of the movie, he is leaving it up to her. He's like, no, that's not what I want.
The viewer expects that after that conversation with the dad, she's going to be like, let's talk about the relationship. And he's going to be like, yeah, you know what? I've been thinking about it and I'm ready to like take the next step. And he can't bring himself to say it. Instead, he just says, there's like a million things I've thought to say in this situation. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the end of the movie to me is a huge relief. Like, these two people can perhaps pursue happiness. Maybe even in some version of the future, they can pursue happiness together. But the first thing it's going to take is they have to break up. Like,
and I also don't think you can find happiness unless you go through that relationship. Like, there is a bit of this, like, starter relationship mentality that you need to know what you want, and they don't. The way that they know what they want is by being with each other and breaking up.
Yes, it is wild how I forgot kind of that emotion, that feeling. There's not a lot of movies that show that this is, you're just not real grown-ups yet.
Yeah.
But you can't be until you do this to each other. Because if you only talk in schmoopy voice, is that what you call it, Keith? Perfect.
I think so.
If you only
That's what
talk
they
in
call
schmoopy
it.
voice, you can't be actual sexy with each other. You can't be real with each other. You only cartoon all of the time. That means you can't actually be vulnerable and grow with somebody.
It's romance as irony, right? It's sort of like this affectation. I mean, one way of looking at this movie is basically Emily knows from the start that it's over, that she's with a loser, or someone who, if not a loser, someone who's not honest with others, not honest with his own feelings, and but she loves him, so she's putting it off as long as possible and going on this road trip that she has to know at the beginning isn't going to be fun. I mean, even before they pick up a third wheel, it's this is not a romantic getaway.
I think he presents the idea of excitement. Like, he seems spontaneous, and he seems like he'll just make it fun out of his own nature. And when we see that stuff like that actually go down, like the hotel room ordeal, where he tries to sneak his brother and his girlfriend in so they can save $10, that isn't adventure. That's just fucking loser behavior. I do want to say, though, I don't think this guy is a born and like cradle to grave loser. I think we are finding him in that spot, that window that a lot of people go through of like, again, I haven't figured it out yet. And you think, oh, this relationship will help me get there. But no, get there and then find a relationship.
He's in his mid-20s swoon, I mean, people talk about like midlife crisis, but honestly, right around the middle of your 20s, that's when a lot of people encounter their first huge crisis, which is like, I don't want to be an adult. I don't want to be in charge of my life. I don't want to have to make all of these decisions. And he's just lost his band, and now he's going to be, if this is true at all, now he's going to be like a booking agent. No, you're not, dude. You're going to have to get a real job.
That takes so much ambition and get up and go, and like you're your business. That's not going to work for you, bud.
And so everything has just stalled for him, including this relationship, and there's just no way he's going to like be able to fight through that, I don't think.
And there's hints. Like, what I appreciate about the movie is how little is said flat out. Like, that's the shagginess that makes it feel real. There's hints, and maybe it's from his perspective, but they don't say it out loud, that she's the reason he's not in the band anymore. Either she gave him an ultimatum, or he was like, well, I guess to be around you more. Like, but there is that vibe.
I think
or
Rhett, the
he's
brother,
blaming her for that. Too.
Sure.
Sure.
Bands break up, and it's good to have like sort of a scapegoat for why you're not a huge rock star now.
I think the movie is doing a lot too, although like never super obviously until that scene with the dad of comparing generations together, and I think that this generation's parents or grandparents would have got married way earlier as soon as they met, and then they would have had the spoon together. And then, in my experience with boomers, been unhappy for their entire life. And the marriage would have crumbled from the inside and ruined kids' lives. And this is what I've heard from about other families. Not
That's
necessarily
called Revolutionary Road.
But I think that this generation, because it's like sort of legendary for growing up slower, we get to watch these things and that the dad would scoff at, but we get to have them figure themselves out, so they make their decisions as closer to fully formed people.
Yeah, she's obviously, over the course of the entire movie and probably for like months beforehand, to have him do anything or say anything romantic, she has to basically force it. She has to like demand that he do that. And that is poison for a relationship, because they've fallen into this rut of she forces him to make some sort of romantic gesture, like finally invite her on the trip. And then he does the, what is it? Say anything? The boombox thing. So it's not even like a original gesture or whatever.
At that point, you should be like, never mind. Go. Yeah. We'll talk later.
I mean, you want to date this movie? He stood outside, but with a different album, and said not only was it a CD player, but he had loaned his Peter Gabriel CD to somebody else. Can you imagine having somebody in your life that wanted to borrow a CD from you?
I remember in the movie Bridesmaids, the two characters are talking about a relationship and like, how is it going? And this is right before the guy proposes, and she's like, I'm not sure if it's going well. I mean, he calls me dude a lot, and the amount of times he refers to her as dude or man in this is like 25, maybe 30 times, and he offhandedly refers to her as beautiful one time in kind of, again, a like forced way.
After someone else does it first, right?
Yeah.
And if your girlfriend is Katie Hazelton, you should say it more often.
You should probably say it quite a bit. Yeah.
A very real, very subtle thing is how, if you have not been complimented by your partner and somebody else does, instead of making you feel good, it creates a hole in your heart.
Yeah.
And the way, the other thing about that is Rhett says, he said to me, you are beautiful, but I had no idea. And Josh's reaction to that is to say, oh, yeah, you really hit the right button with that one. It's almost like he begrudges the fact that Rhett brings that up.
Mm-hmm. Let's perfect pivot, and you're going to get a point for that, Greg. Let's talk about Rhett. Does he only exist to contrast Josh, or is there more going on with him?
I think he, at first, is supposed to seem like the exact opposite of Josh, but he kind of gets to the same places Josh goes, just through a different route. They're like very believably brothers, because at first it seems like two guys could not be more different, and then the more you actually watch the two of them, you're like, oh no, Rhett has just found a different way to kind of do the same things that Josh does.
Yeah, different kinds of man children.
It was hard for me to tell. It was hard for me to tell if Rhett was like just sort of loved being the needle, like knew that it was his job, or he was just sort of too socially dumb that he just kept falling into conversations like that. But I think that the scene that tied them all, the brothers together, is Rhett gets married during the 3 days,
and then married,
quote unquote married by Josh, who was able to be romantic in that moment to bring Emily to tears, but not to Emily. And she's like tugging at him, like, say some of this to me sometime. Anyway, and then the next morning, Rhett shows up at like a Denny's, and they're not gonna stay married or ever get married. Like, that was it. And
she got real sad.
Emily's like, what the fuck? And both brothers are like, what is your deal, lady?
You had to assume that Emily saw that Rhett was basically speed running through their own relationship, right?
Yeah.
As like this big romantic gesture, and sort of like this sense that they belong together. And then one day later, things got difficult, so he moved on. I mean, you kind of have to admire Rhett's decisiveness in a way, though, because it's like, he will extract himself from a relationship that he doesn't think is working, maybe for purely selfish reasons, but at least he, has the courtesy of getting out of there instead of just sticking around until things just drag out forever.
Not just extract himself, but pursue in the initial part. Like, he was also pursuing in a way that Josh would never think of.
Never.
I think another confounding element in that scene is that also it proves that Josh is right. Because Emily's thing in the night before is kind of like, your brother is so romantic and he like goes for what he wants and he's willing to commit and you don't do any of these. She doesn't really say this, but you can feel that impetus behind why she's upset. And what really sets her off is he's like, I don't know, I give it a week and then he's probably going to find his way home. So when Rhett shows up, it also proves that Josh was absolutely right. And that's why she's like, fuck both of you guys.
And that's, the brothers agree, but I think they are coming at that breakfast diner. They're coming from it different directions. Josh is like, this is what Rhett always does. I think he knows his brother gets to be this very like, I'm an iconoclast. What is society or money anyway? And he's kind of over his shit, but knows Rhett will crumble if you actually say any of that to him. So he's just like, yeah, man, love, sure, keep going, I guess. And Rhett is so self-absorbed and selfish that he believes everything in that minute, but then will talk his way out of why it was actually okay to not follow through with anything ever.
They're also sort of saying without saying that you can feel it on them. Let me know if you guys think I'm projecting, but that they think that women are not your co-pilot, but instead the parachute that comes up behind the car to slow it down. Like they're both women in both different ways are just like, yeah, no, all you guys do is just like sort of keep us from our dreams instead of realizing that no, they will help you achieve.
It's also interesting because we don't get to see what Amber's take on their breakup, if you want to call it that, is. Like, I think Emily assumes that Amber's going to be like, oh, no, I can't believe it. But, you know, Amber probably has a little bit more Rhett in her than she does Emily. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next morning she was like, yeah, dude, maybe you should skedaddle. Like,
are you telling me that someone who, quote unquote, marries someone who she makes eyes with in a movie theater might be kind of a flake?
Yeah.
This is what you're suggesting here.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
It made me so happy that I don't interact with those kinds of people anymore. And maybe that's the thing about getting older, but I feel like I pinpointed it. I will not name names, but I pinpointed like so many individuals that Rhett and Amber reminded me of. And I'm like, thank God.
I'm just so tired. Like I couldn't. And like what I used to think was charm about them is just so tiring. I think there needs to be like sort of, I don't know, like one of Ebert's little movie definitions glossary about the character who isn't on the road trip, but waits for road trippers to come to their town. Yeah. Like she's the townie, but she always has an adventure with whatever van comes into town this weekend.
There's like a shared Puffy Chair verse, and then in a Schwanberg movie, you just see her still in a town. Be like, oh, hey, drinking buddies, let's hang out.
I feel like
there's a movie tonight.
You need to know about Rhett is, did you catch what the seating arrangements were in Rhett's apartment?
Mm-hmm.
I think they're all just sitting on the floor. I think he literally has no furniture. I think that says everything you need to know about that guy. He has not supplied himself with any furniture.
I think he's way too into Jack Kerouac. He fucking loves the beats and hippies. Like, this guy sucks and he stinks.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't hate him. You know, he doesn't seem like a bad hang necessarily, but definitely is not someone I want to, share a road trip with or marry.
Yeah, I think a hang would be great, but I'm just guessing. I don't have no personal information. To have this person as your brother, you will lose your mind.
But you're going to look good by comparison, right? You know, a failed musician / struggling, music venue, booker. That's what we're looking for. That's far and away more accomplished than a quote unquote guy filmmaker who basically just shoots, to be fair, quite lovely footage of lizards. But I don't know where how that gets turned into a movie.
I love that little meta commentary too about how because their parents in this movie were played by their parents, right?
Yeah.
Right,
and they funded this movie, and they're watching this very low budget lizard movie where nothing happens, and they're talking about how their dad's gonna like it, and Josh is like, Dad's gonna fucking hate this. Like, there's no way. And he's saying that so when his real dad watches the Puffy Chair, you can't say anything because then you sound like that guy.
There are people that when they get a camera, they're like, okay, I want to start staging dramas. And then there's another group of people who love filming, and they will film a ball floating in a pool for 20 minutes. And they are blown away by it. They can't believe the beauty of the light shimmering off the water. And then they go to show that to anyone, and people are just like, what the fuck are you trying to show me right now?
Unless it's Thora Birch, she's gonna love it.
But that's because they're in high school, so that's the only
Exactly,
time
yes.
you can love a bag in the wind. We are going to take the quickest of breaks. I think we could spend the whole show just on these three characters and their different interactions, but instead, we're going to talk about 1,000 other movies. There are so many movies we don't get to talk about because of how genre they might be. Even though I think we celebrate the genres, the lesser thans, more than the Academy may. Just the way the cookie crumbles, stuff goes by the wayside. So what we're going to do... there's just a few points for... And listeners, if you want to know why, Ryan's bringing off-air stuff into on-air.
You say cookie crumble, I said crumblecore.
He said crumblecore, yeah.
I didn't hear that.
The context was so good.
If I could
Audience
dock
is
my
furious
points.
right now.
All right, I'll give you a couple points for that.
Yeah.
I still think it's a hat in a hat. So what we're going to do is do quick brackets of genres. So, Keith, we're going to let you decide if you want to do a mini bracket of action, comedy, family, and if I can find my mouse, horror, musical, or sci-fi fantasy.
All from 2006.
All from 2006.
Horror's not in a great place in 2006.
Nope.
Let's use sci-fi fantasy. Let's see what we got here.
All right, sci-fi fantasy. Your first pick is Paprika, and it's going up against Ultraviolet,
Oh gosh,
which is a lesser than Ion Flux, I think.
yeah. I know. I've not seen either of those.
I wanted to do Paprika so bad this season, and I forget every single year. It wins its first matchup, and I'm like, all right, Paprika show, let's go.
It's in, baby.
And then it's like the next movie it's up against. It's like, no, there's no way we're going to be able to do that.
We
Ryan,
should say
have
that
you
the
seen
board put these...
Ultraviolet?
No. The board puts together these brackets based on Letterboxd, and Letterboxd is just such a big fan of movies like Paprika. So
Yes.
that's how they almost sneak in.
One of my problems is that unless someone says this anime is something you have to see and it's an all-time classic, which someone probably did with me with Paprika, I tend to not catch up till later. I saw Ghost in the Shell for the first time this year, and it's great. It's a great movie.
God,
but,
hell yeah.
I'm just slow with the anime.
And if it wasn't for Letterboxd picking our brackets for we would miss all these movies. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
We've done 3, I think, and we've had to say no to. We said no to Paprika. We said no to Perfect Blue.
Perfect Blue.
Yeah, but Paprika seems very influential, I guess. There's no
So
way it could be
Ryan says-
Ultraviolet, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Paprika from Ryan. Greg, what's your spice?
Paprika as well.
Keith?
I mean, I guess I would go Paprika based on reputation, but
All right. Next up, Inland Empire going up against The Illusionist, which was the not prestige musician movie.
I had a short time in 2006 where I walked around saying The Illusionist was the better of the two films. And I'm probably, not only am I probably wrong, but why go up to people and just say that to them?
Yeah. Yeah. Ryan, I had that with a Deep Impact. I like Deep Impact more than
Schindler's List.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure either one of those movies is anything to write home about, but man, is Deep Impact not the correct answer?
isn't it though? I mean, I haven't seen that one in a while. I remember liking it better at the time too.
The stock is
liked
going
it.
up, dude. Morgan Freeman and the focus on the drama instead of the effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no weird drilling of a meteor. I mean, it's basically like it's coming at them and they're like, well, it's time to just take it.
Does Deep Impact have somebody animal crackering along somebody else's navel, though? 'Cause that's good filmmaking. That's Armageddon, right? That's not like some other... Okay.
Anyway, yeah, my vote is Deep Impact, Mike.
Okay, good. So Greg forfeits Keith, Inland Empire or The Illusionist?
I mean, Inland Empire's movies I've always struggled with, and but I later Lynch. It took me a long time. The first time I saw Lost Highway, I didn't like it at all. First time I saw Firewalk Walk with Me, the first 2 or 3 times I saw Firewalk with Me, I didn't like them at all. And then eventually, I caught on and liked them both a lot. Inland Empire, it's a tough one though. I went and revisited it. I didn't like it at all when I saw it, and my big stumbling block, I'm sure it's something we'll get into later with the Puffy Chair, is this sort of off the rack video is it's It's so like not, and Lynch is an artist, right? Like it's hard to be an artist using like this like finger painting. But I rewatched it again. I'm come around. I think there's enough interesting stuff in there, and it's David Lynch. There's only so many of those movies, so yeah, I like The Illusionist just fine. But I'm gonna go Inland Empire.
There's only so many of those
than
movies,
you need.
and I have so much more faith in him than I do myself. So like, it's one of the directors where like if I don't get it, I'm watching it again.
Yeah. So
Over The Illusionist too. Yes.
There's an Illusionist too?
Okay.
Sorry.
That's the only one we can do tonight, Magic. No more sequel jokes.
So Inland Empire moves on. I'm just saying. That's
Yes,
the
sir.
vibe. The Fountain versus Superman Returns.
Okay. The Fountain has
is-
one of the best soundtracks of all time. I love the Fountain soundtrack so much.
Go ahead.
I barely remember The Fountain. I thought we might do a show on Superman Returns. It got so trounced in the bracket. Like, so did The Fountain, but Aaron Aronofsky is somehow less problematic than the director of the Superman Returns. So why don't we go with that?
I actually am doing Superman Returns for another podcast very soon. We watched that recently, and like, even if the director were kind of a monster, it's still not I think it's it's a flawed film. It's okay. It feels like kind of a dead end for that whole thing, but I actually really liked The Fountain at the time. I think it's one of those big swing operatic, let's say everything about life in one movie kind of movies. Maybe not entirely successful, but no, I like The Fountain.
It has a take, and it's like a strong choice. Superman Returns is like, whatever, it's a Superman movie, but like The Fountain's trying to do something and be something.
Did we just get an exclusive here that the Next Picture Show matchup for Supergirl with Superman Returns?
No, I'm guessing on another podcast. Actually,
Another podcast?
I thought we had an
Right?
exclusive guest writing.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. No, I will say though, I think the Superman Returns trailer is one of my favorite Superman movies. I watched that so many times thinking this movie's going to be great. And
didn't they use Brando in the trailer? Like that whole
Yeah,
speech?
they used leftover Brando stuff and like this really Alex Ross inspired visuals and Christ imagery and all the stuff that makes me, really the kind of like all these like sort of cheap symbolic things that always work for me when it comes to Superman, a character I really love. So, yeah.
Our last battle in round one is A Scanner Darkly versus Deja Vu, a movie I've never seen before.
Once you see it, you'll see it twice. It's like Denzel Washington has future tech?
Probably.
Or, yeah.
Scanner Darkly is another one of
in
these.
that.
Oh, sorry. Go, Ryan.
Of like, what is the very near future going to give us as far as tech and what are we going to do with it? How are we going to abuse it? I watched The Scanner Darkly for the first time coming into the season, and I thought it was cool that I had watched it. Like, I think that makes me cool. But it's an okay movie that I think is better than Deja Vu.
Yeah, I think it wins on like having a strong take and really trying something. I think they also didn't trust in the technology enough, and so all the actors were like over emoting and not like believing that they could make the movie in this way actually work. But I think it raises a lot of interesting questions, and at a time where like we live in a hyper surveillance state and where the next step is going to be all of us surveilling each other constantly, I think it's kind of like of the moment in a way.
Deja Vu is one I need to see at some point because and Tony Scott O'Tourist, it's like the number one text for the Tony Scott cult. Although I've never been part of that cult, although he's grown on me over the years. But I actually, Scanner Darkly, I was a little underwhelmed by it when I first saw it, but I revisited it a couple years ago, and I do think it holds up really well. It is prescient in some really interesting ways, and just as a Philip K. Dick adaptation, there's been some great ones, but some of the best ones are just barely tethered to the original text. And I think Linklater is really trying to do a faithful adaptation in a way that I think is really quite intriguing, and it's got some good performances in it too.
And I think it sticks with you. Like it's even if you don't enjoy it the whole time while you're watching it, I think you end up kind of like living with it for a while, and I liked that about it.
The end is really haunting too.
Keith, what are your thoughts on somebody on this panel? I won't say who. One of their favorite movies is Last Boy Scout. Is that great, Scott, or greatest Scott?
Now, it's another one I kept because I really kind of had a Tony Scott allergy that I've only gotten over recently. I thought it was pretty good. You know, I watched it as a Bruce Willis binge for a piece I was writing. And I remember thinking, I mean, the testosterone is really toxic. In that
Yeah, I was
movie.
gonna say, you know who else I know that has a Tony Scott allergy is women.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's like really, you kind of have to get past like the grossest impulses of Scott and Shane Black. And,
It's Scott and Black together. Like,
yeah,
come
I
on.
know it's a lot. It's a lot. But I think it's definitely a film worth watching.
I think Tony's Scott allergy is like a peanut allergy, which is you just have to keep going there again and
Yeah.
again and again until you finally get over it.
Well, Top Gun's a movie that like I've never liked, but
yeah.
you know,
Good points for
the
that.
more you know about like just movies that it's just like it's so beautiful. Like the imagery of it is so beautiful. Even it's being used to what I feel like is a fairly
Keith.
obnoxious end. But yes,
Imagine it's one of 3 VHSs in your childhood home. We bought that VHS back when VHSs cost like so much money, and
But it
we
was-
watched it all the time.
but it was cheaper. Do you remember why it was cheaper?
I do not, because I was
It
so
was
young.
one of the first ones that had a commercial at the beginning of it. It was like a big deal at the time, and they had that Top
For the
Gun
Navy?
themed Coke commercial or Pepsi, whichever one they were selling.
It's also a great volleyball commercial.
So there's that.
Yeah, that Coke commercial on that VHS was then followed by a 90-minute commercial for the Navy.
Even at Niage, Ryan.
Even net Niage.
Gosh, oh, Greg.
Greg.
So, Scanner Darkly is what I think that
Yeah.
Top Gun talk meant. All right. Paprika versus Inland Empire.
Oh, it's got to
I
be
mean,
Inland Empire, right? On
yeah.
this podcast.
It seems weird to like put it in the sci-fi section of your blockbuster, you know, probably because I'm being a douche and it's like elevated sci-fi, therefore goes in drama.
Is there a
But-
better then?
Yeah. But I think it's Inland Empire here.
Oh, I'd vote for it.
And then The Fountain versus Scanner Darkly.
Ooh, that's actually kind of tough. 'Cause I don't think either is entirely successful, but they're really ambitious movies. But I think
Yeah, whose flaws are more interesting?
I think Linklater maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I do like them both. I think they're both worth seeing.
Yeah, I'm going to say A Scanner Darkly. I think that they're both swings and misses, but they're both also very interesting, but it's just Scanner Darkly edges it for me.
All right, your sci-fi final battle. Inland Empire versus A Scanner Darkly.
The IE 909.
909.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Inland Empire, just because I mean, yeah, but yeah, they're neither of them are my top films from either of those directors, but they're both top directors and they're both
Yeah.
interesting. But I'll go with Lynch.
Is it weird to be talking about Inland Empire while recording on Riverside?
That is weird.
He's a Hall of Famer,
It's too
so
fun.
I'm going to go Inland Empire.
All right, Inland Empire is your sci-fi film of 2006 that was not good enough to be an actual movie we're going to watch. We're going to take the quiz breaks, and we come back. More The Puffy Chair. Taste Buds, this is our second found footage movie we've done for Movie of the Year. What was the first?
Blair Witch?
Blair Witch?
It was Blair Witch. So this is like Blair Witch, but without the hoopla. Two-part question. A, is Hoopla the streaming service you watch this on? And B, how vital is the shooting style towards the message, the energy, the everything of the film?
I think
go
go
ahead.
Keith.
It is the streaming service I watched on, except I watched it in 2 sittings and it expired, so I had to watch the last half on Tubi, where I kept getting interrupted with ads about an app to make my golf game better. And this is they really know me. They know me so well.
And how you swinging?
Yeah, I don't. Do you swing something in golf? I don't even know.
Oh, you need a beginner app then. Yeah, you're far back.
I did watch this on Hoopla. Shout out to Hoopla. Although it created a huge glitch after I watched it. I tried to watch it again, and I was trying to resume it, but it was already all the way played. And so I had to delete the Hoopla app and re-download it to make it work again.
This movie is... We'll get back to actually the question, but this movie is cursed because I rented it at Fandango at home. And I got to watch the first chunk of it. I paused it, and I came back, and it took me 3 days till it worked again.
Yeah.
But it didn't make me rent it again. It's like before they knew I was going to email them. They're like, just fucking, you're fine. Just watch it.
I may be
It was
alone
getting
here.
reupholstered during that time, right?
Yeah.
I may be alone here, but I felt like after the initial scene, I completely sort of forgot that it was like a low quality camera or whatever. And I think that there is that sort of like raggedy feel to it and the road trippiness. Like anytime around this time you would go on a road trip, somebody would take out their camera, and it has like that sort of like family footage, that sort of like raw quality, and it's still shot in an interesting way. It reminded me a little bit of like The Office. Every shot is like the initial shot, and then when the person's talking, you get like that slight zoom, and I find that is like such a comforting way to watch something. It very much mirrors like the human eyes like focusing, and it made it feel a little bit less amateurish because you weren't getting just these like basic shots. You would still kind of get a little bit of something you could call camera work in there.
I'll hesitate from saying something like, because I don't want to lose points, like the camera is the fourth main character. Like that's almost as bad as that the city was a main character. But
Points for restraint.
I totally agree with Greg, first of all, about you get used to it really quickly in a way that almost like if you're in an IMAX, it's really like the first 10 minutes and then you're like, I'm just watching a movie. With this, I think it helps so much the handheldedness of it, because even though you start to forget that like it doesn't look like every other movie that you're used to, what keeps you with it is like on an emotional level is the fact that you get to see so many reactions and stuff that like typically wouldn't be storyboarded, almost in an Office way, of like when Josh will say something to Rhett, we'll go to Katie instead of Rhett or Emily. And those like watching the lines affect the characters without the characters having to say, here's how your previous line in the script affected me, I think is like the key part of the movie. Like that's what all of the feelings are built on.
Specifically watching her react to things that Josh says and like always kind of like to his side and a little bit behind him, so he has no way of accessing it. That is like where so much of the movie is just watching how things land with Emily.
When Rhett says, I think I would like to go on your road trip, her look towards Josh, like she's holding a sign that says,
you have to say no. You have to say no. And he's like, I think that's a pretty cool idea, Rhett.
Yeah, I mean, this is, saying this, there's so many Mumblecore I have not seen, but this sort of technology that came out around this time, it was so perfect for that type of film. And it's easier to say that now because there is something like this worrisome thing in the early years of the aughts where it's like, oh, is this just how movies are going to look? Is this how all movies are going to look? Like, this is a great look for this story. But at the same time, when we briefly talked about Inland Empire, it's like, is this how David Lynch movies are going to look from now on? Like crappy instead of beautiful, And, there was there's a moment where it just felt like, this stuff was so cheap and so easy to use and so much more flexible than film. Like, you can see why filmmakers latched onto it. And for a film like this, and a lot, other stuff of this sort of general school, it's well suited, but you almost don't want to see this outside of that type of type of story. At the same time, now it's kind of a nostalgia trip, right? It's kind of like when you see an old cell phone in a movie, like these sort of like, not quite high def video images, digital video images are so of the era, as much of the era as the Spoon song on the soundtrack. It's like, oh yeah, this is 2000, this is the mid 2000s, all right. It's the way it looks and the way it sounds.
It's a little bit, I don't mean this to sound snotty, but it does kind of, the look of the film also keeps the people that don't want to watch it at arm's length immediately. You can see this is not for you if you really only like Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore rom-coms at this time, right? Like,
Ryan, I told you that in confidence.
Sorry. I mean, no, it could be somebody here. It could not be. But that if this movie was given a budget of one of those movies, like Keith was saying, we would have gotten corny music that would have telegraphed every single thing we're supposed to feel. And here we get something that is, music-wise, wildly different and perfect for this. And it's the fear of it becoming all movies. Like what it said is that we get these movies too. We get all the other styles that we have our entire lives, and then also these movies that we didn't get before. And I think that's important.
And I think for this movie, and the Duplass brothers in general, there's such an intentionality with the raw feel. Like that first scene, I think you feel it because you're not used to it, but it doesn't go away if you pay attention to it. But at first I'm like, am I going to get like motion sickness? Because this camera will not stay still. It is the anti-Clerks of cheap indie movies, of how little his camera moves versus how much this one moves. But when you're watching it and paying attention to only that, you're like, oh, it is not just... I've seen movies in lesser directors' hands where you're like, oh, you don't know why. You just think it means we're more emotionally there if my camera is just zooming in and out on people's faces. But like you guys talked about with all of it, always finding Emily's reactions to everything. Like she becomes our window into the world, and there's so much thought behind that.
There's a reason
and I think
the Duplasses are still making movies too.
Yeah.
You know, as sort of like intentionally artless as this looks, they know what to some degree they know what they're doing.
Yeah, because there was a billion people who watched this and tried it, just like with Clerks, and then found out, oh, fuck, I have no talent.
That's hard.
Yeah. What did happen, though, from this era is, like, for instance, Half Nelson, which was around this time, and what isn't Mumblecore, but has a similar feeling and budget and all that, those directors then went on to make a Marvel movie, you know? Like, that's what sort of happened, is that this became the minor leagues for Hollywood, and we're seeing that with YouTube right now. Of if you can show your skill on YouTube, then you might beat Mandalorian and Grogu pants off at the box office.
You get to make a movie that is too scary for Greg to watch. I'm like so excited about this like new era of Hollywood director. It feels like a bygone era in the history of cinema, and each one of these movies these people are making is just way too scary for me.
It's hard.
Who's there at the end of Backrooms? Mark Duplass.
Whoa!
I do have to say there is
creepy
an interesting retroactive quality because to like knowing the Duplass brothers, because in a way, even though the movie itself looks so grainy, as soon as I see Mark Duplass, I'm like, oh, it's okay. You're in good hands. This is a real movie.
Yeah.
That would have been slightly different to watch it in situ in like 2007, where you didn't have the confidence, and instead, over the course of the movie, be like, damn, these are some talented people. I like already knew they were so talented going into it, and so it's just like a little bit of a different reaction, I think.
He's kind of a naturally charming presence, though, and like he's just kind of like someone you feel like you could spend some time with. It can also, at the same time, you can see why someone like Emily could kind of get fooled, because he is, he's charming, he's sensitive, and it's like she, as this movie opens, she knows he's a liar, but you can see how even at that point she would want to keep believing that he wasn't, or at least trying to believe he wasn't.
You can totally imagine him around like a bonfire at a party, just running the room with stories and like weird little dares and stuff like that. It's all there. And it's crazy that half of his career is making low budget movies, and then the other half is like starring on FX sitcoms. You know, like I get both sides of him as an artist from this movie.
I love the inception, like, because I think they didn't write The League, but because he and Mark and Katie showed up in it, like it changed so much of the vibe. It just injected, I think, more groundedness, and that was such a cartoonish show. And like, I think if it was just love Nick Kroll and Paul Scheer, but if it was just those guys, there would be a lot of humanity not in that show. And so it feels like a broy dumb sitcom, but then you have them injecting this like mumblecore authenticity.
I also think that if you swapped as actors, and I don't know Rhett from anything else, but if you swapped Mark and Rhett in those parts, the movie changes a lot. Like, we're sort of more on edge the entire time because Rhett has a very different kind of charm and is much more unpredictable. But Mark Duplass's performance and the character of Josh does ease you into this, where I think a lot of guys in real life just sort of coast on this and like keep their middling relationships going because they've got this duplicity.
That's why in like his career as an actor, it works in. I love the movie Safety Not Guaranteed, and I think you buy the whole time why Aubrey Plaza's character is sort of falling for him and like believing him, because he has this weird gravity to him, even when he's being kind of an asshole. And you're like, well, he does lie all the time. Does he lie to me? And then he says something charming. You're like, probably not, but yeah.
Not me.
Talk about someone who used an indie to kind of level up to big budget films. Too.
Yeah.
So he's doing it in the real world too. He's just charming them all.
Oh, no, I was talking about Colin Trevorrow specifically. But,
oh yeah. He did Jurassic World after that, huh? I forgot that was him.
Yeah. Where
Man,
the safety
these
is
kids-
definitely not guaranteed if you go to one of those Jurassic Parks.
This is true.
No, it's happened enough. I bet they figured it out.
They fixed it all.
We need higher fences, and then we'll be good.
I guess we've done it a lot, but this is our first taste of the Duplass brothers. If you had just seen this, and some of us had just seen this, are you excited? Do you like, when you get free time in between Moody seasons, are you like, I got to hunt down more Duplasses?
I would if this was my first, I would definitely say that once you get used to the camera work and the style, which again happens very quickly, I was so engaged. This movie is not a chore from the art level. Like, it's a chore sometimes because of the awkwardness and the schmoopy talk, but like I was all in on seeing what happened with these characters immediately, and it's just because they're put in the foreground and they're so realistic that it's not one of those like old indie movies that you treat as like homework or vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything just feels like kind of note perfect. You feel like these are real people and you are watching them go through real incidents in their lives, and you can see, like, even though it's not shown to you, you can see what it must have been like a year before this movie takes place. You can feel that like there was something here, there was some heat in this relationship, there was some interest, and now it has just completely gone. And so I think that like to make their world feel big when it is decidedly so small in the scope of the movie, that is like a type of artistry that is exciting.
I mean, what does Kempenaar always say? And Kempenaar is probably the reason that like introduced me to the genre. Like they were, they talked about it a lot on Film Spotting back then. But it's the stakes. It's, you set your stakes and then it's how you abide by them. And so, yes, this is not Armageddon or Deep Impact, much to Greg's chagrin, but the stakes are there, and that's so clear.
Like Outback, it's the stakes.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some and not others. I mean, they've made between as actors, writers, directors, and executive producers, their names are in so much stuff. There's just a lot of stuff I have not seen, but I did seeing this one made me want to go back, which I had not seen before. Maybe want to go check out some more that I missed over the year. I did see Jay Duplass's film he directed solo last year, The Baltimoreans, which I really liked a lot. So, and it is definitely another ramshackle character study, kind of built around the star and co-writer, which is Michael Strassner, and it's a really cool film. And it's the first film he directed in 14 years. He had something at Sundance this year that I did not see, but they remained. It's interesting that they're probably directors that could have gone the Colin Trevorrow route at some point, but they've done big budget projects, but they definitely seem interested in kind of hanging out in the indie world and seeing what they can do. And best I can tell from their credits, giving a leg up to other indie filmmakers over the years.
But
which is
how cool is that to not go for the Marvel paycheck, but instead go for the paychecks acting gives you, so you can continue filmmaking the ways you want to do. I'll say this, Magic, and I know this goes against typically what we say, but if you are a Duplass, if you're in our audience and you're a Duplass completist, don't email us. Like, that's scary. I don't know how you did that, and like we don't want to hear from you.
If they are a completist.
If they are, yes, that's
They've
too much.
actually done the entire run.
Yeah.
I would say if this is not an official recommendation, that's for the awards. If this sounds daunting, I think the good entry points are Cyrus, which is Jonah Hill and my mind is dying.
John C. Reilly,
thank you, and Catherine Keener. And so it's, hey, these are actors I know, and it is like easier digestible, though very awkward and hard to watch in different ways. And Jeff Who Lives at Home, which is very similar to this, of look at these two brothers and how they interact with the world differently, but that's with Ed Helms and Jason Segel. So again, there's a certain point they're like, we're gonna get actors.
Yeah.
Not that I think the acting's great in this, but they're like, we're gonna get names, but not lose what we're bringing to it. But I think those are more digestible entry points.
What I do like about the approach of like just drawing on people they know, and I don't know where you get I don't know how, if you're doing a bigger budget production, who do you cast as the hotel clerk? Who I love that performance, and I love the comedy of that. It's one of my favorite stretches of the film. But there's just authenticity to that bit of casting that maybe they just hired the hotel clerk. Who knows?
Yeah. Just be like, remember when you're really pissed off at a guest for something that seems small to everybody else.
Yeah. My perfect job is like taking my authority way too far, caring too much, but also spending a significant amount of time watching reruns on TV. Like, that's such a good job.
All right, we are going to take the quickest breaks, and when we come back, other movies again. All right, we're back to Genre Blast, and Ryan, I'm going to leave this one up to you. You have action, comedy, family, musical, or horror.
2006, I'm going to just, because I know the 16 best movies, those are the ones we're covering, but I know what genre is good every year, and that's action.
We'll see.
I'm going to say that was an argument in silence.
We often talk about how the reason we just don't do the top and why we do a bracket is so we don't have to do stupid-ass franchise movies. And this is... Thankfully, Hollywood moves away from that after 2006.
Yeah,
but
this was the last year.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest versus Miami Vice.
I mean, this is pretty easy, right? Like, I can't, at a certain point with the Pirates movies, what happened in what? Like, I can't tell you a scene from any one movie.
There's the one with the squiddy guys, right? Squid head guys.
Cthulhu?
This is the first one, right?
No, that's Curse of the Black Pearl, which I do stand behind.
Okay.
I thought this was 3. See, okay.
This
Miami
is
Vice.
Who plays the Squid Man?
Jeffrey Rush, right?
Jeffrey Rush, yeah. Davy Jones.
I thought Jeffrey Rush.
Jones.
I thought he was the one who's like he's a skeleton
isn't it
man.
Bill
from the first
Nighy?
one. Yeah. Jeffrey Rush is like in all of them. He does the whole thing where he's evil in the first one, then he becomes his like reluctant ally later because he's like, I'm fine with skeletons, but Squid Man, that's where I draw the line.
Keith, where are you with Miami Vice? Are you on the huge stock uptick that it's taking?
I was disappointed when I saw it, and people who declared it like, man's best movies or among his best movies. So I need to check it out. And given I do like the first Pirates movie, and they lose me after that. So I'm just going to just like, based on the madness of it all and the maybe kind of trusting that I may have overlooked its more winning qualities the first time I saw it, because I didn't hate it. I thought it was good, but not great. But maybe I have a feeling it might change.
The stock has been shooting up over the years, right?
Yeah, people love it now. And that's another thing where it was shot on video, but it wasn't like not like Public Enemies level where it's like oh, this is what Michael Mann movies look like now. I don't know if I'm on board with this, but no, I'll just say Miami Vice, trusting just on instinct on this one.
And Keith, you write for The Ringer sometimes, right?
I have, my editor's not there anymore, so hopefully I still write for them sometimes.
So yeah, I think that The Ringer has so much responsibility for the stock uptick that I think you're contractually obligated. Like, I watched it before the season, and I was not as impressed as I hoped to be, but it is better than Pirates.
So we have two Miami Vices. Greg, is that?
I'm also going to say Miami Vice because we could not even figure out which Pirates movie we were talking about. It feels like I know which Miami Vice movie we're talking about.
That's going to be a dig to that movie. Next up is two movies that came very close to being real movies for us: V for Vendetta and Apocalypto.
Oh man, I did V for Vendetta as part of my pre-watch, and I was like, that trepidation you sometimes feel going back to watch a movie you liked, but you liked it like 10 or 15 years ago, or almost 20 years ago, as the case may be. I popped it in, and honestly, I think it would have fit perfectly in this season, especially the way in which it pairs with Children of Men. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I thought it was very interesting. I had a good time, and I honestly liked it probably more than when I saw it however many years ago. I thought it was a very interesting watch.
And that was post Gibson's fall down, right?
It was mid, I think he was filming it basically or like right before or something. It's just like it's all. I remember when its release was all tied up with the Mel Gibson ickiness.
He Heart of Darkness. He lost his mind to that jungle he was filming in.
Oh yeah, it was totally normal before that for sure.
This one's tough for me because I I don't love V for Vendetta. The parts of it I think are really quite good. I'm a huge fan of the book, and I feel like the ending is bad for the movie version.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
true.
obviously Mel Gibson, a very problematic individual. You gotta give it to him though. I think it's a really good movie actually though. So I'm gonna go with Apocalypto.
I'm down, but like there's 2 movies from the bracket or that we're not doing this season, and I think it was a couple seasons ago where we did like All About My Mummy for 99 because we forgot like those were 2 major movies, so we just threw a show in. I'm trying to figure out how to do that or how to convince you, Mike, of doing one for V for Vendetta and Inside Man. I think those are our 2 glaring
Oh,
holes.
Inside Man didn't make the cut.
Vendetta,
that's a good movie.
man. Yeah, the minute because it's really the punny combo name that sells it,
Yeah,
Ryan.
that's what we need. Yeah.
So once you have that, and then we'll talk. So, but what is your vote?
And of course, I didn't understand V for Vendetta because I didn't see the first 4. But
Ew.
I'll go with V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta moves on. Eventually, I need to rewatch Apocalypto, a movie I've only seen at 4 a.m, the morning of a army graduation. So they're like, we need to wake you up because you're Army, but you actually don't need to do anything for the next 9 hours. So watch this movie. Mission Impossible 3 versus Crank.
I'm still an MI3 defender, having not seen it since the theaters. I've heard so many takes on how it sucks, but I remember thinking it was so dope.
No, it's fine. I think it's a good one. The way I felt then is the way I felt when I rewatched it a couple years ago. It's like it does kind of feel like a really overblown Alias episode. It almost feels like more TV than movies in some ways. But it's got Philip Seymour
What
Hoffman,
if that
so
Alias
good.
episode had Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Yeah,
though,
and-
know?
But on the other hand, Crank's Crank.
yeah.
Crank's Crank.
Yeah. There's a world in which you put Philip Seymour Hoffman in this movie, and then you just don't get a lot out of him. But instead, he is kicking ass in this movie. I'm a huge.
Are you talking
fan.
about Crank?
Of Crank, yeah. He's the main guy from Crank, right? He's Crank,
Yeah.
John Crank.
Oh, that would be a
Crank.
really good. I'd like to see that version.
I watched Mission Impossible 3 as part of my pre-watch, and I was like, I couldn't remember what my opinion of it was, and I think I had thought that I had recently watched all of these movies, but I had somehow skipped 3, and so watching it was a completely, almost like new experience for me. And again, it's not perfect, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I was excited to watch it, so that's definitely going to be my pick.
All right. Votes.
I gotta go. For novelty value, I'm gonna go Crank.
I was going to say, to quote my good friend, Crank is Crank.
Crank is Crank.
Ryan, your tiebreaker again.
I think I'm gonna do MI3, even though there's no quote about it.
It doesn't even have a cool colon, does it? It's just Mission Impossible 3.
You know, my doctor said I did. Just
Totally normal colon.
Good news, man. You have a cool colon.
It's not one of those funky ones. Next up, in a last battle, it's X-Man, The Last Stand, versus Blood Diamond.
Oof. Wow. This is like one of the really bad X-Men movies, right? Like maybe the worst one.
This is the worst, I would say.
Yeah.
This is when Singer left, and they were like, "All right, what's his name? Brett.
A totally normal guy, Brett Ratner.
Let's get
Yes.
Brett Ratner on the horn."
Let's trade one problematic director for the other. Blood Diamond is one of those ones that, like, I did not catch the review on that one, and I didn't really feel a huge obligation to go see it. So I still haven't seen Blood Diamond, but I hate X-Men: The Last Stand, so I'm just going to do
Yeah.
Blood Diamond.
We love that. I remember liking it, and this is when I'm dumb. I was very young, very dumb, very full of cum, and even that dumb, I'm like, Leo can't do this accent though, right? Like this
Oh my
is
gosh.
this is our generation's best actor falling on his face.
What's he trying to do? Like a South African accent?
Yeah. Which are like people from South Africa can barely do that accent. It's not how any human talks.
Do you point that out to them all the time?
Yeah, they love me there.
Still,
That's
though,
what it is.
as more of like a punishment vote for how bad X-Men Last Stand is, I'm going to say Blood Diamond.
I'll say Blood Diamond too. Yeah, X-Men's awful, but like, why would you make that movie when we had Lethal Weapon 2? Like, our South African coverage, as far as that accent was good. We were covered.
That movie taught me about diplomatic immunity, which I think is usually in the real world used for just not paying parking tickets. But man, there's so many crimes that they just go diplomatic immunity in that movie. And young Greg was like, this cannot stand.
Is that real?
Is this
Dr. Doom?
Is this because I was a kid and when Lethal Weapon came out and an adult for Pirates? But if you mention any scene from Lethal Weapon, I'll be like, 1, 3. That's from 2.
Yes. Those are not distinct movies, Brian. All right, Blood Diamond moves on. Round 2.
More Mel Gibson, by the way. Always great to keep bringing him up.
Patron saint of the podcast, Mel Gibson. Miami Vice versus Blood Diamond.
I'm going to say Miami Vice just because the heat is on for Miami Vice.
I'm going to say Miami Vice because I have seen it, and that's it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a huge Blood Diamond stock uptick at some point, but that has not happened yet.
The only and I can't speak to Miami Vice, but it just does feel like if something did not get love, we're so thirsty for nostalgia these days. People are just like, I don't know, reconsider it. Does everything need to be reconsidered? I say no, guys. Some stuff wasn't good just because it came out when you were a kid.
I saw a Letterboxd review championing Kung Pao Enter the Fist the other day. A film that if I were not reviewing it, I would have left after 5 minutes. But,
I could not. I saw that movie in theaters. I could not have been more of like the target audience, and I was furious. Like that movie sucks.
My favorite Chinese restaurant near where I live was one of the filming locations, so they have pictures from it all over.
Very cool.
It is cool. So I like that movie. Because I like that place. V for Vendetta versus Mission Impossible 3.
MI3.
Yeah, I did just recently see both of these movies, and there's a lot I liked about V for Vendetta, but I don't know. Mission Impossible 3, I think, takes it in the end.
Ryan, if your vote mattered, what would it have been?
Yeah, probably MI3. I think that like sometimes franchises just have that thing for you, and I haven't seen V for Vendetta in so long. So
maybe if there was a 6 for Vendetta, I'm just stealing your joke and saying a different number. I'm sorry.
Take away points.
Yeah.
From you, not from me. Not from me. God
hey,
damn it.
Host of next season, remember, I start negative points. All right, your final battle is M&M for action, Miami Vice versus MI3.
One is so, like Keith said, one's sort of the highest budget TV movie of all time, and the other one is so cinematically stylized. But I think I have to go MI3 here.
Yeah, it's definitely MI3 for me.
I'll just throw a pity vote to Miami Vice.
All right.
Democracy.
Miami Vice, you have our pity, but not our votes. Mission Impossible 3 is your action movie of 2006. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to take the quiz breaks when we come back. More The Puffy Chair. Taste buds, it is time for our final question. If you ignore all the questions I'm going to say very soon, very quickly.
Which I will, Mike. I will ignore each and every one of those questions.
Yeah, I'll throw it right to you, and you just stare blankly at me until I go, Ryan and Keith, I guess. All right. We've talked about it, sort of, because we've mentioned the name of the movie, but we haven't actually talked about the titular puffed chair. What does it represent, and what is the movie saying about Josh's obsession with getting it to where it needs to get?
I felt like it was this childhood memory and feeling, and that he wants to recapture that. And then the reality of it is a complete broken down disaster, and it's not what he expected. And then he like betrays everything about that sort of like idyllic childhood memory by trying to kind of use force, coercion, and threats to like make it a reality.
To recreate it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the essence of adult life, really, is that like you kind of have to force things into being in a way that like ruins their purity.
It's possible that Josh's love language is gift giving. I would bet thousands of dollars that it's not. And so I think that what's really going, like his anger is that, yeah, like not only that I have this huge piece of my past that I can bring to my present, and that's so similar to what him and Emily do, like we talked about, you know, in the first segment of like, we won't have any more honeymoon moments, but maybe we can recreate some stuff and like remember it doing that by forcing this chair to come together. And it also gives him and I think this is to much a lesser extent than the nostalgia, but it gives him a path that isn't super productive in his life. That's the thing, is that like everyone has ambition. It's just, where do you put that? And so instead of saying, I'm going to make this booking thing work, or I'm going to make this relationship thing work, I'm going to make this chair work that after meeting his dad, he's not going to give a shit about.
I mean,
his dad was just happy to see him.
The big flaw is like, if his dad liked this chair so much, he'd still have the chair. You know, I mean, like, why is, we never get the backstory of why he doesn't have the chair anymore. But, I don't know that every piece of furniture I've discarded has amazing backstory as to why it's no longer in my house. It's gotten worn out, right? It's maybe a little heavy-handed, but certainly it seems like a pretty obvious symbol for his inability to move on with his life, to like get to the next phase, instead of kind of trying to go backwards.
And I do have to say, when your parents are of a certain age where they are like retiring, the last thing they want is for you to show up with the biggest piece of furniture of all time and try to shove it into their house. They're probably downsizing. They're probably thinking about getting a single-story house. To show up with a huge-ass chair and be like, Dad, guess what? I've recaptured the magic of childhood, and now I'm giving it to you.
Hey, buddy, you know who needs that? Rhett's first chair.
He has literally no furniture. Please give that to your stupid brother.
Rhett's first chair.
But yeah, the parents have their lives together, and they're retired or whatever. Nobody in Josh and Rhett's parent situation has room in their house for that. Like it's just nobody is holding that, because they have moved on and they've filled it with stuff that they have picked. I love gift giving, but man, bread box rules should happen with gifts. Like, if it doesn't fit in a bread box or is literally a bread box, don't get it for people.
And the truth is, dads don't want anything. There is just nothing you can get your dad besides just like showing up the way, and that's ultimately, I guess, what they decide on, right?
Yeah.
Like, Rhett realizes it first. I'm going to be the gift, and that's the only thing that dads want, except for maybe a box of old used up porn. But that is like, that is absolutely the only thing besides your presence that a dad wants at all.
Did it take the dad a long time to have any emotion towards his sons being at the doorstep?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. He's like, oh, wow, you guys just showed up. Oh, it's my birthday, and it's the evening, so that means your mom and I were just about to head upstairs. But no, that's cool. Let's sit on the porch and talk about your shit.
The one night I don't have to use my box of used up porn and you guys show up, so thank you. Yeah, like, I think that this dad has created, I think what the movie's saying is that this dad's like, standoffishness has created a lot of, issues for the kids that they're not dealing with, or they're dealing with in, I don't think, the healthiest of ways. I don't want to always blame stuff on the parents, but like, the boys have to do some work now to make themselves better and not just come back on the doorstep, like Josh is the Puffy Chair and like, look, I'm reclamated for you. And that's not the case yet. And
ultimately the dad's advice is, if these two losers can get married, probably you and your loser girlfriend could get married, right? Like, by inference, that's what he says. And it's not great advice. And Josh doesn't end up taking the advice because like, the message is so clear from what his dad says. And then instead he's like, I'm not sure about that.
I think he was about to.
Yeah.
I think he was going to say, let's get married, and then Emily broke up with him
but
first.
But see, he had the moment. He had the moment there where she throws it to him, and he says, instead of... Because I thought that too, Ryan, but then the second time I watched it, I realized she kind of throws to him, like, okay, here you go, big guy, and he can't get himself to do it. Instead, he says, I've been thinking of a million different things I could say, and I can't figure out which one it is. He still butt flinches at the end.
Kind of see maybe...
Well, yeah, but he doesn't...
Sorry.
No,
you kind of see maybe how his band broke up too. It's like, he wanted out, but like made others do all the dirty work of actually breaking up the band. I mean, that's sort of my headcanon for that.
Yeah, he's not a man. What's so interesting about him as a main character is he doesn't really arc, because he still can't make a goddamn decision by the end of the movie, which I do like, because again, it's very realistic. Nobody actually grows in 3 days, and he, by the end of this adventure, he's still just like, whatever the last person I've talked to tells me to do, that's what I think we should do.
Very presidential.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, do you know what it is? Like, if this movie was a big budget Hollywood movie, what it would have is Richard Dreyfuss narrating. Like, this is basically just Stand By Me, and this is a kid. This is a 12-year-old becoming 13. And without Richard Dreyfuss, like, Josh does grow. Josh will not always be this guy.
Right.
But this is, again, that window of, like, here he is, 12 years old, best times of his life, and Richard Dreyfuss isn't telling us all of his brain moves.
You know where you see the growth? It's not in asking her to marry him, and it's not in saying anything right at the end. It's after they break up, he hugs her, and that's like the most intimate he ever is with her. She is super upset, and he's kind of upset, and he comforts her. Not in a way where you expect after it goes to black, maybe they're going to kiss and it's going to be all fine. Just in a way of like, yeah, it's over, and you're upset and you're hurt, and so now I'm going to like hug you.
Do you know who did get the girl that looks like Katie Aselton? The ambitious writer, director, actor who made a whole movie.
I was thinking you kind of have to have a certain amount of security in your own relationship to play these characters in a film.
And the
so
improvised
you're not like
nature of the
highlighting
movie.
stuff you actually have.
No. And when she flips the table at the very beginning of the movie, like, is Mark thinking, was that Katie or Emily that just did that?
I mean, you have to find some truth, right? Like whatever tensions they do have in their relationship, like as an actor, you reach down for some level of reality. So like that's why it reminds me of the what's it called, Bagheads, Mike?
Baghead, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That because when you are doing this like highly self-referential like drama, you are kind of inviting yourself to not know the difference between what is fiction and what is reality.
It's the indie Eyes Wide Shut, except this relationship survived and apparently thrived, whereas Cruise and Kidman perhaps not.
Did not make it.
But in between scenes, when they talk about it, they're like, was that about our fight last week? No, I was thinking about the person I dated before you. That's what made me flip the table so hard. It's speed round time. Why spend so much running time of the pretty short movie sneaking 3 people into a motel room? And whose side are you on in this disagreement?
I think we already decided that we're on the side of the hotel worker, right? The employee.
Well, I'm not on Rhett's side. I'll say that.
In a way, it is a microcosm of the entire movie, which is like, this guy will put so much effort into the things that just don't matter. Like, he's trying to save $10, and then you see him so many other times in the movie throw a ton of money at a problem. And he ends up throwing a ton of money to resolve the hotel problem. What it really is instead of working on his shit, he finds something else to like totally invest himself in. And the fact that it takes up so much real estate in the movie is kind of like in itself emblematic of the fact that like this is how much he's working at running away from his real issues.
I think that's correct. And I also think, I mean, just on a real practical level or on a real like basic level, it's the funniest part of the movie, and that's why it takes up so much real estate. 'Cause I think it's really comedically, it's the part that works the best. But also, like, it really did put his character in, it clarified his character for me, because I really. I hate it when people. I like rules. I hate it when people try to take advantage of, just try to get away with something. Not like, if this were a evil motel and like they're somehow like they're like getting over, but you're just trying to get away with something that other people don't get away with, and I hate that.
And that's where we get the difference between him and Rhett is that Rhett is a flighty dumb shit, but also. So you should keep the money and they shouldn't, like he's integrity to almost a fault at this point. And that's one reason why they're different.
It's so easy for the Rhetts of the world to say that, though, because this is a guy.
When they have no fucking money.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's true, though. Like, when you don't have money, you are not covetous of it, and then you don't try to hang on to it. But to have nothing and be like, hey, man, here's how I think you should spend your money.
But by the end of I guess not booking because this was in the beginning, but Rhett's behavior towards the chair shows in my head, like, why fuck this guy? I think he's my least favorite like character to hang out with, is him burning the chair after all of that. You're not helping actually anybody. You just believe your fucking fake new age shit and decide you're going to solve it because what you think is right and fuck what anybody else actually feels.
Yeah.
He does, the actor and the character, everything does an incredible job, though, with the Rhett design of no shoes, really short hair, long beard, where you're always on that tight wire of, like, cool guy to hang out with or somebody who should be in a hospital.
You know why I appreciate it, though? 10 years later, definitely if they made the movie now, it would be like the worst CGI fire you'd ever seen. They burned a real chair. Now, admittedly... This is probably not an expensive chair, but and it probably didn't take a whole one take wasn't really an issue given how this film was shot, but I still appreciated that they actually burned the chair.
And there's something about that moment of high drama between the brothers, and then that hotel owner comes out and gives it literally one spritz with the fire extinguisher, and it's just over. Like it's like that anticlimax was perfect.
And doesn't kick them out, even though they lit a fire and fought.
Yeah,
on his
seriously.
property.
Well, if they had sprayed the hotel room with a fire extinguisher for no reason, then they would have gotten kicked out. Yeah.
Don't do that,
No.
folks. They don't like that.
They love that. They think it's hilarious. Experts agree that this is a road trip movie. Does it show us anything new and fresh about a road trip? And is it important to follow these characters on this road trip?
Well, I want to take like a page out of Greg's book because I think he just cracked the code on how to win speed round and start every answer with, I think like that's a microcosm for this entire movie. And then just let everybody else figure it out.
The word has Mike in it, and so he likes to hear it.
Fuck both of you. Keith is getting points.
I think, just to flip the question around a little bit, I think what it does is it's this wholly new thing that we're not used to, and then does road trip tropes to make us feel better. And like, with the meeting of the wacky characters and the adventures, the hotel room, and the lady that Rhett marries, like, I think that sort of helps us through it in a way.
Also, from the beginning of the movie, again, part of what I think is so artfully done about this movie is by the time you were like 2 minutes into the first scene, you know this couple is absolutely doomed. And so the idea that she's going to force her way onto this road trip, you're just like, do not do this. Do not go on a road trip together. Do not do this. Your relationship is not going to survive
You know
this.
what's occurred to me? I didn't think about it till just now. What about the trip back? That's going to be that's so miserable.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But I think after... The most mature thing they did is that hug in the end. I think it's the most free they've ever
Yeah, just have
lasted
fun
together
now.
in years. Like, it's just telling stories.
They're just
and, like,
people to each
having a
other
blast.
again.
And they're just sharing with Rhett, like, do you know this one time he pissed me off?
Yes.
Or Rhett burns the van.
Yeah.
Going back to what Greg said about the road trip aspect too, is that what does Katie or Emily do in the first scene? After
Cook
the
him
first scene?
dinner. Run away.
Flip a plate?
She runs away and she goes home.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can do that at a home movie.
Yeah.
But in a road movie, like, you can't do that. And so that elevates the stakes a little bit too. It's like, we are here now,
Yeah.
And none of them have the money to just like go to the
I
airport.
never got a sense of what she did. Did I miss that detail, or she was to be just sort of
Like
available
what her job
to
is?
go on a road trip or not go on a road trip based on a whim is pretty remarkable.
That made me feel old too.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what she did? She broke up bands at
Yeah,
Yoko.
exactly.
And you can make good money doing that.
Well,
Is it kind of fucked up that we have one Duplass paired with a brother that is not an actual Duplass brother? Was that upsetting at all?
That blew me away when the brother stands up and it's not Jay Duplass. That is a way in which I am a stupid viewer of movies. Oftentimes, people will play characters that are different than they are in real life. But when Rhett stands up and it's Rhett instead of Jay Duplass, I was like, wait, hold on, what? Who's this
Is
guy?
Jay okay with this?
Are you cheating
Greg
on your
has that-
brother?
Greg has that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing at the screen, but instead he's just shrugging his shoulders.
Yeah.
I thought Wilkins was good though, and it's kind of the end of his acting career, best I can tell. It doesn't have any credits after this. He has a few before this, but he has it reminded me of Josh Leonard from the Blair Witch Project.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, totally.
Josh Leonard stuck around and done some good stuff since then, but not Wilkins. But I would say
They should do a road trip movie together.
they look they probably look more like brothers than Owen and Luke Wilson do in some ways, because like in Bottle Rocket, you kind of believe that they're not brothers, even though they are.
Yeah.
Owen and Luke Wilson have different fathers. I'm base that on nothing, but just looking at them.
Wow.
And then the third one is like a jock, right?
Andrew Wilson.
So
yeah.
3 different fathers.
What would you, and everybody has to answer this one, what would you be transporting if it was your dad at the end of the movie? What's your puffy chair?
For me, it's a box of history books for sure. And because I know not to get my parents any more books because they just recently have like re-gifted back to me basically every history book that I have ever bought my dad. And so now I have them in my own office.
It actually might be a Puffy Chair, to be honest. My dad's no longer with us, and he was an older dad, so I got the tail end part of his life where he spent a lot of time just sitting in a Puffy Chair. So maybe, you know what? Maybe this movie. Maybe I get it. Maybe I get this movie now that you asked me this question.
Right.
Yeah, or how about a copy of the Puffy Chair on DVD? Yeah. Just to
my parents could never work
reaction.
the DVD player, so
yeah, okay.
VHS was the end of the line for technology for them.
If it's the parameters of what we've stated is it's something that meant a lot to us as kids, and your dad would not be actually excited to get it back, it would be a Tasmanian devil riding a motorcycle T-shirt, which at a certain point, my dad, who had 5, 6, how many? A lot of kids. We all heard once he liked Taz, and for 15 years got Taz stuff till he gathered us all and went, please stop.
I don't actually like the Tasmanian devil that much.
When I was a kid, my mom made the insane mistake, and this is going to explain to you exactly how old I am, the insane mistake of saying, you know who's kind of cute? The California Raisins.
Oh, my God.
And for a decade, that is all she got.
Kids. Recast the podcast with the four of us. Who is Josh? Who is Rhett? Who is Emily? And who's the Puffy Chair?
Well, I kind of float in and out, so I think I'm the Amber of this podcast. Actually,
I love it.
Hell yeah.
Keith, we're gonna get married today, but I don't know about tomorrow morning.
Ryan has to be Josh, I think. And I don't mean that as an insult. He's kind of like the driving force. He's the planner. He like makes everything kind of work. Also low key furious all the time.
Lies to you guys constantly.
I think I would put myself as the Rhett, for better or worse. Like you being a dirtbag, but trying to like play it off as being like semi a mystic or something like that. Just like not being good with money, not wanting to grow up, but trying to make it like a worldview.
Okay, hold on. This actually works perfect because the amount that Greg compliments Mike.
Okay.
And how much Mike just wants me to love him, and I won't. He's clearly the Emily. So there's our
That is true.
All right. We nailed it. We don't have to disagree. It is, and nobody's a chair. We're all people.
Nobody's a chair.
We are going to take the last of the quick as breaks, and when we come back, give some awards. This was given 0 awards by the Academy.
What?
Also, this is our first Duplass movie, our first Katie Azelton movie, our first Rhett Retterson movie.
The beginning of our Katie Azelton crushes?
Yeah.
Yes. And our first Mumblecore, which is a very narrow window of when we might get other Mumblecore movies.
Yeah, can you see any more in our future? I feel like we sort of picked this not just as the representative for 2006, but the
All
genre.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's other ones, it's one of us like putting our thumb on the scale to try to get it in. I have a soft spot for the 3 I've mentioned, and the only non-Duplass that I've seen in this is I really find Drinking Buddies charming, but I also understand if people don't want to watch it. So let's give out some awards. iPhoned it in, Ryan. What would have an iPhone solved?
I mean, this one is so clear. We do have a lot of phone usage in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think that, and I think this would have ruined Josh's like time, like his plans. Like I think he liked that the hotel room thing was such a farce. But if they were able to text, go now, stay there,
Yeah.
piss in bottle, I think that would have helped a lot. If you know the name of the bottle you'd like to piss in.
There was this very discrete period of time where you could look up directions online, but we didn't have the directions on our phone yet. And so you would do what these poor people had to do, which is you would print up from like mapquest.com
MapQuest.
the route you had to go on. And then you had to feverishly check it nonstop. The other person in the car, the co-pilot. And a lot of times you would totally miss your turn off because no robotic voice told you that you had to prepare to turn off and then make a turn off. Every time I see them looking at those MapQuest directions or, God forbid, a paper map that you had to buy from like the gas station, that is the perfect time to use an iPhone instead. And within 2 years, they would be.
The thing is with GPS too is that like if I miss a move, it just figures it out.
Yes.
If you're on paper
Right.
maps and you miss a move, you are done. Like go park your car and drive into a swamp.
The benefit is you know that area now. Your brain just retains it. I've lived in the city I live in for 7 years, and I don't know how to get anywhere, even places I go numerous times a week, and that's fucking dumb.
Oh, yeah.
It's
When the
like
big
you have
solar
no idea
flare
what my phone
comes.
number is.
Keith, what about you? What is your iPhone ended in?
I've been thinking about this. I'm not even sure. But maybe on the very least, on the way back, they could listen to a podcast or something and not have to talk to one another.
There's a new cereal. Mine is the minute the Puffy Chair is a lie. I guess this is iPhone and like Facebook Marketplace existing at the same time. You just Google and find another fucking Puffy Chair on your way.
Yeah.
You are not beholden to that liar.
They must have had.
What isn't iPhone in it?
They must have had. This film was a budget of $15,000, right? They must have bought two identical chairs, though, right? Because you can't reupholster that thing.
I think they shot the burning scene first, and then that's what you see
because
the
it's
version.
it's like kind of exploded. Like, so I don't.
That chair is used up when you first see it. It looks so
It's
greasy
disgusting.
and
the guy's
defeated.
like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Do you know what I was thinking too? Is that is the dad's Puffy chair that they find in the warehouse, and like the dad did that to it. So why do you think he wants it back?
Fashion, which in this kind of movie is an interesting. I'm very excited to see what you guys have. Keith, we'll start with
gosh,
you.
what did they? I mean, I think I wore all those clothes in 2006. So
Yeah,
I
these
would
are just
say
normal
this
people
was
clothes.
absolutely cutting edge, and like all, I saw very cool people sporting the best possible clothes. So yes, a fantastic time capsule of what the cool people were wearing in 2006.
Greg.
There is you're seeing a lot of regular clothes, right? But then there's a character that walks onto the screen and he is dripped out. I'm talking shorts. I'm talking white tube socks. I'm talking a t-shirt. And then to cap it all off, he's wearing a fucking vest. Oh my God, the guy that tries to sell him the used up greasy chair. That was my favorite character in this entire fucking movie, dude. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he doesn't give a shit. He is actively trying to sell another piece of furniture to another Mark, and he's like, Josh takes him outside, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? I don't give a shit. You're gonna like stare at me until I poop my pants? I don't care." This guy is a badass, and he's fucking dressed like it.
And like, take him outside is such a good idea because the only reason Josh does anything is to semi-impress his girlfriend and brother.
Right.
So without his audience, like, what am I doing here?
But it's so interesting. A part of the movie we don't see is what Josh tells that guy to make him fold.
Yeah. I think he doesn't actually make the guy fold because Josh is a huge liar, right? So basically if you don't see it in the movie, it's a lie he is telling. And so I think he just says, "Where can I get this reupholstered?" And he goes, and even though Josh acts like he's poor, I think he often just throws money at problems. And so I think he literally said to this guy, "I will give you $300 if you reupholster this chair tonight."
There's also an implication he's going to call immigration services on the
Yes,
which is like
very fun.
Does not make me like him any more than I did already.
No.
We know who we'd vote for if it was no.
Yep.
Ryan, who's your fashion?
I mean, anytime I see this in any movie, it's going to get my nomination. It's Josh's tidy whities. He has to give his pants away, and we see just how much when you don't wear boxers, the whole world can
Those
see.
little undies.
This is the last year those were made. Those just went away.
That's exactly how your dad used to be dressed when he would come into your room during a sleepover to say that you had to keep it down to a quiet roar.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be quiet roar right after because we're going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with your dad?
I saw his whole nutsack, dude.
Mine is, maybe it's because I own it, but it looks good on everybody. Just a classic red, black checked flannel that Rhett wears during the bonfire wedding scene. Looks great on everybody, guys. Everybody should own one.
But poor flannel taken care of. Do not wear those around a bonfire. It will stink forever.
Forever. That's so true.
Facts. Cringe. What made you cringe the most, Ryan?
I couldn't, like, if this didn't happen multiple times, then it wouldn't be my nominee. But I couldn't get over, like, watching Josh from Emily's POV putting in that fucking earpiece every time he got a call. I hated that. And he was like, well, no. Shh, here we go. And we give the finger, the pointer finger. and just be like, no, you can tell this is important because I have an earpiece in, as if this is cutting technology from one of the top band bookers in the land. Shut up, Josh.
That makes me cringe at how often I put on headphones instead of holding a phone to my ear. I don't. My arms get tired. Keith, what is your
voice?
cringe?
I mean, and it serves a dramatic purpose, but still, every time they lapsed into the voice, it really was very upsetting.
I'm gonna back that up, but I'm gonna say specifically the first time you hear it in the movie, which is the very first. The way they are addressing each other at first is that schmoopy voice. And honestly, again, I always do my cringe by when do I want to fast forward? Mm-hmm. And when I started this movie for the second time, it was so hard not to just skip the whole opening scene where thank you for this chicken smoothie. Oh, I knew you're gonna have such a fun time. Dude, I will fucking kill both of you right now.
Wait, Greg. Are there times where you're on your second time in a week where you will fast forward over stuff you just don't want to watch anymore?
No, but it's always my criteria for how I decide what it's going to be. I make myself watch it, but it's when I wish that I could just skip it. That's how I know that I'm literally cringing.
I agree. Schmoopy voices for sure. Another one is just the wedding. Just the fact that everybody, even if Josh is doing it just because this is the quickest, I cringed at have these idiots doing this, and I cringed at how I would be, is that I would not be able to let anybody just have a night and go with it.
Yeah.
I cringed at how I know I would be still and be like, you fucking morons, what are you talking about?
I've seen you do that at very expensive weddings where the couple's been together for years. So
they're fucking morons. What are they talking about? I drink at weddings.
Yeah.
Sue me. All right, before we get to the big two, let's talk about recommendations. If you liked this or liked the sound of this, what else would you like, Greg?
There's a show from I can't believe the show's from 10 years ago, but it's from 10 years ago. There's only 2 seasons of it. My wife and I loved the absolute pants off of it. It is a Duplass joint. It's called Togetherness. It has so many people that you love. We got like so bonded to this show, and it's about like, I don't want to say it's about if Emily and Josh got married and had kids, because I think that the couple at the center of this is actually, they like each other more than that. But it's about, even if you are meant to be with somebody, how tough it is to make it through a relationship, especially when you throw some kids in it. Togetherness is about, a couple and their kids and their friend and one of the wife's sister, played by Amanda Peet. It's got what's her name that we love so much?
It's got Duplass,
Melanie
Linsky, and
Linsky.
Pete,
yes,
which is like an all-time charm offensive.
And then
Don't sleep on Steve Zissou.
Steve Zissou
one of the
is
stars
actually
of Baghead.
And in I think in the first season, Brett, who is played by Mark Duplass, and Alex, who's played by Steve Zissou, they're trying to do a stage production of Dune. And this is before like the big movie Dune, obviously. And everything they do in this is so awesome to see as a Dune fan. It was just an amazing show. It was sad when it got canceled or when it was just over after 2 seasons. My wife and I looked forward to watching this every week, and I couldn't recommend it more highly.
Nice. That is a good one. Keith.
I would recommend Hump Day. I think I was thinking of Joshua Leonard for a reason. That is the film by the late great Lynn Shelton, co-starring Mark Duplass and Joshua Leonard, where they play 2 straight friends who decide they're going, as part of a porn film competition, have sex with one another on camera, and it leads to. I mean, it sounds like a really gimmicky premise, but it certainly has a lot of awkwardness in it by design, but it's actually, I think, a really sweet and interesting movie about friendship in some ways, and it fits right into this whole Mumblecore whole Mumblecore thing. And plus, if you like Mark Duplass, here he is.
It's awkward because it's called Hump Day, but they film it on a Thursday.
Exactly.
And that is
oof,
not
man,
Thursday.
yeah.
I wonder, when you mentioned Hump Day, like, threw me back, and I wonder if like that might have been my first introduction, or like hearing somebody talk about it, and then retroactively the Puffy Chair got, because that Hump Day was sort of a big indie talked about movie.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, what was yours?
Watching this movie, Magic, I started thinking about a guy who is clearly broken, but maybe not forever. Maybe just we're looking at this window, going on a road trip. to deal with something regarding his dad. And it sort of made me think about Five Easy Pieces, which is a movie that doesn't get talked about as much as a lot of the movies from that era. Like it's a huge new Hollywood pillar, but just not in that way. And it's the plot, the storyline, the twists and turns are so pulled back where it's not Mumblecore in the filming of it. It doesn't feel like a hand cam or found footage, but it's scaled back in that perfect 70s way where we are just sort of saying, why don't we just watch these characters interact? And this guy who is troubled, but not like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest Jack troubled, just normal troubled. And I can see as this, like, if I was doing a class on Mumblecore, this might be the first movie I'd play. I do think that it should be rewatched. It's famous for one scene, but there's a ton of good scenes.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mine, I don't think it counts as Mumblecore, but it reminded me a lot of it is especially the camera work, and I just want everybody to see this movie always. And it gets everybody prepped and hyped for Anne Hathaway for next week's movie. But I think Rachel Getting Married is a film
Oh, gosh,
everybody
yeah.
should see.
Yes.
And the camera just lives in the wedding, and it is also about how it's hard to have a sibling sometimes.
Oh, gosh,
and what it's
yeah.
like when people crash against each other.
So much.
It's so
Man,
fucking good.
that movie, I've talked on the show about how I went through a period where I loved movies as a kid, and then I was like, while I was in grad school, I kind of fell away from movies, and I just didn't watch the good ones and couldn't stand the bad ones. Rachel Getting Married was kind of like my beginning to be like, wait a minute, I should watch movies again, especially like the good ones. Even if they're a little sad, they are still like so life affirming in the end.
Earlier in the show, we were talking about, Keith talking about Tony Scott as auteur, and that's another director that I'm so fascinated by his career of like, who is Demi as a director? He has a Movie of the Year trophy. We gave him 1991 Movie of the Year for Silence of the Lambs, but like what he just does whatever he wants, and it's always so fascinating.
I've thought about this a lot. I cannot really describe what it is, but there's a Demi feel no matter what genre he's working in, and there's sort of like a generosity and interest in humanity, like even in Silence of the Lambs. I think I think everyone is allowed to be a three-dimensional character, even our serial killer, our main, James Gumb, and I don't know. There's a warmness to even something like that is just distinctively his.
Hannibal
I
Lecter
remember
taught me
going-
that everyone has taste.
And if he was still alive, you'd have him over to dinner, right?
The late great Hannibal Lecter.
I remember going into that episode of ours, Silence of the Lambs, thinking like, oh, we're gonna talk about like scary, cool stuff, and all we did was talk about the relationships and the personalities, the people. So good pick, Mike.
Good pick, Mike. I forgot that was Demi. And a little behind the curtain. I portrayed Buffalo Bill last night in a live stage show.
Oh, very cool.
I'm obsessed. Yes. What are we doing? Pound for pound performance. So no matter how small screen time they might have had, who crushed it, Keith?
I don't know, Amber, I think, actually. Just like, who is this person? I mean, we never really get to know, but like, I kind of want a whole backstory of like, does she go, why is she in this movie in the middle of the afternoon? Does she get married often coming out of movies, or was this a special day for her? And she seems to have a pretty cool setup there. I don't, who is this person?
I like that. Ryan?
I'm gonna go Duplass. Watching this movie and like putting it into context, it sort of made me realize that this was the era. And Magic, you mentioned this in the keynote about the Apatow movies, right? And how we were getting nonstop Steve Carell and Will Ferrell characters who were 12-year-old brain in a full-grown body, like, right? All these movies are big, essentially, right? And here we got such a more grounded version of kind of that same thing. Of I still feel like a kid in so many ways, and even though I don't look like it, I'm not ready to either make these big decisions or mature more importantly, mature in the ways that I'm supposed to. So I think that you can make an argument that this is a indie version, low budget version of a lot of those Steve and Will movies.
But what it does is, what is it like to be around that person in real life? It's not
Right.
Oh, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
It is emotionally draining.
Exactly, yeah. And, for some reason, he lights our fire. For some reason that, like, we are drawn to him and continue to hang out with him or be in a relationship with him. But this is what it would actually be like to know Michael Scott or Ron Burgundy. Is like, it's not that fun.
Greg?
Smart people have said in my presence that acting is reacting. And in a movie where there is where people are so seldom saying what they're actually thinking, Katie Aselton's face is doing so much work. The viewer always knows what her reactions are. Mike, you mentioned when Rhett's like, "Hey, I'd really like to come on this road trip with you," and then the camera looks at Katie, and she's trying to get Josh's attention, but he doesn't really look at her, and her face is just saying, "No, dude, you cannot let him come on this trip. Please do not let him." Or during the wedding vows, when her face is just communicating so much, and that sort of the openness of her expressions, I feel like you always know exactly what she's going through, and that was the performance that really kind of blew me away in the movie.
I mean, we didn't talk about how Emily makes us feel that much, especially as people who have been in relationships. Is it her fault? Is she too needy? And that's I can sort of see how a younger version of me would have thought about her much differently than watching it now. I think that she is reacting to the circumstances that she's provided by Josh. But back then I would have been like, Josh is acting that way because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if she is needy, and not to take responsibility or any
Agency
onus
away from
off
her,
of her,
yeah.
she definitely has that. But it does feel like because he is, to be with somebody this emotionally volatile does create a hole in you. And
Despite growing up with Rhett.
so she didn't grow up with Rhett. I'm saying that
her,
the way
okay,
Josh acts makes
Yeah.
her try to it's breadcrumbing, so she's going after it more and more. So I think they bring out the worst in each other. And mine was also Katie Hazelton, so Greg gets some more points.
Heck yeah.
The last award, director's signature moment. Ryan.
I'm going to take the scene in Rhett's empty apartment, and it's for all the stuff it does with the conversation. Perfect setting. We know exactly who Rhett is, or we judge him immediately based on the look of the apartment. It's not a bad apartment. It's just all of his money went to rent, and there is nothing here. But it is, I think it's the scene that does the zooms and the stay on the faces the best. Of all these people seem so casual. You would think that they've all known each other for years, but if you watch them closely, which the camera is making us do, letting us do, where all of the awkwardness is. This scene is why I do not smoke weed anymore, because this is how I looked at the world if I was high, is I'm the cameraman here seeing everybody's awkward reactions to everything that's said.
And really, they're just being awkward because you are an inch from their face staring at them.
With wearing my tighty whities.
I'm zoomed in, man.
Keith, what
I
is
think
yours?
Josh running across the parking lot in his underwear. It's staged really well for comedy, but also kind of this is someone who it tells you everything you need to know about this character, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is someone who is trying to get coolly scam his way into saving $10, and he just making a fool of himself for the whole world, or at least the inhabitants of this roadside motel to see.
And then he puts on the charm offensive afterwards, look, I'm so sorry, I did lie to you, just expecting her
Here's
to...
$40.
Yeah. So he uses all of his money, and then it does work. She's like, fine, you're Josh, or you're Duplass.
Greg.
I'm going to go with when Josh is making up on the fly the wedding vows. And it's two things that I think he's intertwining here very effectively. One is what he's saying is objectively romantic, and it's the kind of thing Emily has been dying for him to say to her, and you get to watch her like experience that. But two, if you listen to what he's really saying, it's also kind of a passive-aggressive attack on Emily, because it's kind of like, and you'll never have to change your life just to make this person happy, and you'll never have to be someone other than who you really are. And so he's like weirdly being romantic, but not towards her. And also what he is doing that is directed towards her is kind of like commenting on her relationship style. And it's like that double barrel attack is so emblematic of what they are suffering in their relationship.
And it's that irony that comes back, is that, like, yeah, I am in this position where I do have to say something emotional, but I will have this shield of irony blocking everything the entire time.
And I just you're getting a bunch of points there, Greg, because that's mine as well as the wedding.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think that's the one. I get what you're saying, Ryan, about Rhett's apartment, but I think that's the one where the zoom ins on each person's face, and it's one of the few whips, maybe the only whip we get in the movie so Josh says all that stuff, zoom in on Rhett, zoom in on Amber, and then whip to Katie's crying face, and it is not happy tears. And yeah, it worked on me, which means we are at the end of the show. We have a tie. Keith and Ryan, 169 points. That's so many points, guys.
Many points.
Again, I think my record.
Wait, I think
Good.
I might be able to tip myself over, or a bonus point. I did a little research, and if you look for Puffy Chair on eBay, it's mostly this movie on DVD. So this is now the definitive Puffy Chair on eBay.
All right.
Dope.
Oh, sorry.
Ryan, you were
steal that from anyone.
Nope. Ryan's in third with 169 points. Keith is in second with 171, and Greg 176 points. The winner.
Hell yeah! I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I wanted to win so bad, and I did.
I should post me and Greg's text feed from this morning, because people will see how bad he wants this victory today. It's all he wanted.
I'm glad I didn't know
Would you
that.
say Volcano? I'm still excited to borrow the name of Mark Duplass's old band.
I would say that.
More points.
Keith, I did buy one of those Puffy Chairs DVDs that you saw on eBay, and I went to pick it up, and it was destroyed. It burnt and beat to shit.
Very nice. Everybody's earning extra points with all these little quips, but Greg still wins.
Yeah.
What of our awards at the end of the season do we think the Puffy Chair could win? Do we get a duo in here?
No,
No, because they're a trio.
Okay, I'm going to say there's potential for biggest shithead, and I think it's
There
Rhett.
always is.
I mean, Josh,
Rhett so hard.
it's so easy to say that it's going to be Josh, but Josh is the villain of this movie. The shithead is clearly Rhett, and I'm going to point out one specific thing. They bring him pizza, and it's like he's just off the top of the pizza. He doesn't take a slice for himself. Just off the top of the pizza, he seems to just be like taking strings of cheese. Dude, what are you doing?
I would break your fingers.
Yeah.
We're in a society.
For some reason, Mike, when you ask this question at the end of the show, I forget every award that we do at the end.
Car for that shit van.
Vehicle, dude, that van is a solid vehicle. I think that honestly that could potentially win. It's not flashy, but it is a very functional vehicle.
I don't know if it's cool to say this at the end of this episode, where we did really enjoy this movie, but could it be one of those 0 nominee movies?
Oh yeah, I think so actually.
How about best sex for when Josh runs across in his undies? I mean, I think he's really we're getting a lot of him in those
Flaunting
undies.
it. All right, that's the show. Keith, thank you so much for joining us
Of course,
again.
anytime. It's my pleasure.
We will take you up on that anytime, my friend. Where can people find you?
I'm several places. I mean, first and foremost, the reveal.film. It's the Reveal. It's the newsletter I co-write with my longtime collaborator, Scott Tobias. We write about movies. We do reviews, interviews, essays, lists, all kinds of fun stuff. And we're pumping it out, multiple times per week. It's a very active newsletter. Not one of those newsletters you subscribe to and you don't get anything. You can also find me on the podcast, The Next Picture Show. That's Next Picture Show. Next Picture Pod, I believe, is our URL. Just Google it. You'll find it. It's associated with Film Spotting, and we that's me, and it's Scott Tobias and Genevieve Koski and Tasha Robinson. We look at a new movie, compare it to a classic movie. I've got other projects too. You can find my writing in places like Vulture and TV Guide, occasionally Slate, places like that. And I've got another.
Can I promote something with a question?
Yeah.
For you. Where have you watched Spider-Man Noir
I
yet?
haven't actually, and I know I want to, but I did write a book on Nicolas Cage called Age of Cage. Thank you for the opportunity to plug that. But it's like the one Cage thing I haven't seen at this point. I'm kind of waiting to watch because my family wants to watch it too, so I'm kind of waiting to carve out some time to watch it. And no one asked me to write about it for some reason, but but I will get to it. I'm looking forward to it. I also have a podcast. We just do it a few times a year. It's a lot of work. Laser Age. It's about science fiction films in the last half of the 20th century. And I've got another podcast coming up with an old collaborator named Mike Ryan, but I can't talk about that yet.
Named Mike Ryan?
What
Is his middle name
name's Greg?
That's who I'm on a podcast with.
Awesome. Hey, listeners, go check out all of that. Guys, thanks for just like a great show. This was we had a lot of fun.
Fun time, yeah.
Love chopping it up. I'm skimming through forgetting how to end this show.
It's hard. I do want to shout out Magic too. That like if our video tonight and our audio is like toned down and looks like shit and sounds like shit in honor of the movie.
Yes,
like that's
yes.
why we're doing. It's low
an
budget
artistic-
here, folks.
Oh
It's
my!
totally the most pixelated podcast you'll ever put out, right?
Looks like a podcast on a Game Boy.
That's the Puffy Chair. We'll be back next week. Until then, keep watching those movies. And hey, Goofy, tell them how they did.
The perfect